Discovering the future through summer camps. Jake.
I joined a camp at a medical school because I want to become a doctor. The best part was a class with a silent mentor. It was a special experience because we learned from a donated body. This helped us understand the human body in a real and respectful way. The experience deepened my respect for medicine and increased my desire to help others.
Liam.
I'm interested in the ocean and technology. So, I joined the ocean engineering camp to see how engineers create machines that help people study the sea. I learned about ships, underwater robots, and ocean waves. They also showed us how they design boats. I even got to test a small boat in the water. It was interesting to learn how science and technology make studying the ocean possible.
These camps gave students a taste of college life so that they could keep exploring their passions after the summer ended.
Today's warm-up quiz is Maria wakes up early, 然后一个 blank, she can catch the first bus to work. A, although, B, so that, C, instead of, D, until. 哪一个是答案呢? We'll find out later.
You have 15 seconds to think about it. Time's up.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to English for You. I'm Mike.
I'm Chickling.
And we are back with the second and final day of discovering the future through summer camps. We're learning about some summer camps that are often put on by universities and colleges. So you might be able to find a few in your neighborhood, in your town, depending on where you live. And at these camps, students mainly, can try out different things that they might be interested in that they don't usually get a chance to do in their regular high school year. Yesterday, we heard from Emma, right? And what was Emma doing?
Okay, so she joined a history camp.
That's right.
Yeah, so she learned a lot of things about history.
Yeah, at a university. And the history students from the university, some older students, they were the ones in charge. And they played some games. And one of the games was an interesting one, where the older students, the college or university students running the history camp, they pretended to be historical figures.
Yeah.
So one would be, Abraham Lincoln, one would be Napoleon, one would be, I don't know, think of an Einstein, something like that. But they wouldn't tell you their name. I guess they wouldn't wear costumes either, right? Because if they dress up, you can kind of guess who they are. But the students, Emma and her other high school friends, they had to guess which character these older students were pretending to be, were playing or acting as. So it was kind of a detective game, but also using your knowledge of history. And they got to play it as a team, so it was a bit more fun. It was engaging as well. You're kind of learning while having fun. And I think most people would agree that that makes learning easier and also, of course, more enjoyable. So we're going to keep on that same path. We're going to keep talking to some other students who've tried these summer camps and see what other subjects and what other interesting things they got up to. The next person we're going to hear from is a young guy named Jake. So Jake is another high school student. And let's find out what kind of summer camp he got to experience. He says, I joined a camp at a medical school. Whoa. Because I want to become a doctor. Wow, okay. In one way, a summer camp could be great because it could let you try things that you've never tried before. Maybe you'll discover you really love something and you never had a chance to do it. Or maybe you're like Jake and you kind of have a clear idea about what you want to be in the future. Maybe Jake is from like a doctor family, like his mom's a doctor, his dad's a doctor, or maybe just from a very young age, he saw a TV show and he said, I want to be a doctor when he was 5 years old, and he still wants to be a doctor today. He knows that's what he wants to do for a career. So it makes sense for him to go to a medical school camp since he does want a job in medicine. He wants to be a doctor. And when we say medical, yes, that is relating to medicine, not just the stuff you take and you swallow when you feel sick, but medicine is also just the whole area of hospitals, doctors, nurses, sickness, healing, getting people better, doing surgeries, all the stuff that doctors and nurses do, all the stuff that goes on at hospitals and in clinics, all the stuff that helps sick people, whether they have a cold or cancer or a heart attack, whatever. If your body is not right, you need medical attention. You need medical professionals like doctors and nurses. You need medical assistance, things that help you get better when your body is sick or injured. Medical is all about that. For example, getting medical information off the internet can be risky. It's better to go and talk to a doctor. That's very good advice.
Medical 是医学的、医疗的意思。其实你们有没有觉得它跟我们讲的医学、医术或吃药的这个字很像 medicine？ 所以我们会如果说你今天要接受医疗的治疗，我们可以说 receive medical treatment， 或者是说有一个人生病很严重，他需要赶快被治疗 he needs immediate medical attention， 就是马上要赶快被治疗的意思。所以 Jake 参加了什么呢？他参加了一个医学院的营队，因为他想要成为一名医生。
All right, so clearly they would learn a lot of different stuff in this medical school camp, obviously a lot of it to do with biology and science and stuff like that. But Jake says the best part, the part he enjoyed the most, was a class with a silent mentor. Interesting. It was a special experience because we learned from a donated body. Wow, that is not the kind of thing you would do in your high school science class, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, university medical students, they will do things with donated bodies. And this was also working with a silent mentor. Something is silent, basically it makes no sound, right? If you ask your friend a question and they're just looking at you and not answering or talking, you would say, why are you being silent? Why are you so silent? Why are you making no noise? So that would be a little weird if your friend suddenly went silent around you and stopped talking. But in other times, like in a library, well, you want it to be silent in the library or in your bedroom at night, right? You want no noise. And that's what it is. If it is silent, there is no noise or very, very little noise. For example, the classroom was silent during the test until Edwina let out a loud sneeze. Achoo!
Silent 就是很沉默的。我们常常说保持沉默 remain silent。She chose to remain silent during the argument， 代表她就想说我不跟你吵，不跟你吵。或者说我们去看电影的时候不可以发出声音嘛，因为会打扰到其他人。Please keep silent during the movie。那我们看到的这个片语呢 silent mentor 他就是大体老师哦，所以他就是捐出遗体啊，供这个医学研究以及教学的人。那 mentor 本来就有导师的意思， donated 指的是被捐赠，所以这些大体是被捐赠出来。所以最特别的部分呢，是有一位大体老师的课程哦，这是很特别的经验，因为他们可以从捐赠者的遗体学习了很多事物。
A silent mentor, this is actually an expression not from English.This is a translation from the Chinese, I believe, right? Silent meaning not talking. And a mentor, well, a mentor is kind of like a teacher, someone who is older and wiser and more experienced than you. So if you go to a job and there's someone who's older and they're kind of taking care of you and showing you things, teaching you things, that can be your mentor. But in this case, the silent mentor, this is just actually a polite way of saying a dead body. That's what we're talking about here. A donated body. People will do this.You can, live a long life and you say, when I die, if I'm 75 and I die of cancer, a heart attack, or old age, I don't want my body to be buried in the ground. I don't want my body to be burned up so my family can keep, the ashes, the parts that are left. I want my body to go to a university. And university students, student doctors, medical students, will cut open my body.And use my body to study and to learn, right? They can cut open the body, learn where the heart is, the lungs, the muscles. They can basically practice doing things that they will in the future be doing on living people. But of course, I wouldn't want a doctor to be doing their first cutting in my living body, right? You would be a little nervous that they won't know what they're doing. In English, the common term would be a medical cadaver, C-A-D-A-V-E-R. Cadaver is just another word for a dead body. So a medical cadaver would be someone who donates their body after they die to a school so that students can use it for their education. It's a very interesting and I think quite an admirable, kind of special thing to do. If you believe in that kind of thing. So there you go. And as Jake continues, he says working on this silent mentor, this medical cadaver, this helped us understand the human body in a real and respectful way. I think Da Vinci did the same thing. He would take bodies, take the skin off, learn how the muscles were, and then he would draw very accurate pictures of humans, right? Because you have to study it very carefully to be very knowledgeable about this stuff. And he says the experience deepened my respect for medicine and increased my desire to help others. So not only did he learn a lot about, the human body in a very science kind of way, he also learned respect for medicine, respect for the people who need the medicine, and also respect for the people who will donate bodies. It deepened his respect. If something deepens, it becomes bigger, it becomes richer, it becomes more, and probably better as well. If you deepen your relationship with someone, your relationship gets bigger and stronger and better. If you deepen your understanding of something, maybe you've been studying that and reading a lot of books about it. You don't just know the basic stuff. You want to know more and more, so as you learn more, you deepen or grow or expand your knowledge. For example, reading that book about his life really deepened my respect for Mahatma Gandhi. I learned a lot more about him, and I grew to respect him more and more.
所以 deepen 就是把什么东西加深，所以加深什么对什么事情的理解，我们可以这样讲。The lecture helped deepen my understanding of history. 或者是说呢，如果你要卖东西，你就要跟你的顾客有一个很深的那个 chemistry connection. 所以你可以说 we need to deepen our connection with customers. 所以呢，其实这样子的帮助呢，他们就是以一个很真实且尊重的方式去了解这个人体哦。这次的经验让这个 Jake 对医学的尊重更加深的意思，也增强了呢他想要去帮助其他人的向往。
Next we read Liam. Now, Liam is going to talk about his experience doing something very different from the previous one that we had from Jake's experience. What did Liam do? He says, I'm interested in the ocean and technology. Okay, so very different from studying medicine. The ocean and technology. Wow, what could you do with that? So, he says, I joined the ocean engineering camp to see how engineers create machines that help people study the sea. Wow, that is very fascinating. I know so little about that. I'm not even sure what I would be studying, but I'm sure I would learn a lot. So he's interested in oceans. You know oceans. They're like really big bodies of water. If you don't know what an ocean is, go to Hualien and walk towards the water. That's an ocean. It's the Pacific Ocean. And technology. Technology, this is where science and engineering sort of meet. So we can have scientists, they can discover things, but they might not actually make things. And then we have engineers, and they make things, but they might not discover new things like scientists do. Take those two things together, the latest science with the latest machines, that is technology. All right, so basically using science to build newer and better machines that can do more and more useful things for people on Earth. Today, technology is, we're looking at robots, we're looking at space travel, we're looking at electric cars, this kind of thing is very much in the technology world, big in the technology world these days. And also, if we could have machines that could make power by the waves, or machines that could go underwater more easily and more safely so people can work down there, that kind of thing would be very, very interesting. For this word technology, we have the sentence, the technology of today would look like magic to people from the past. Imagine if you could get someone from 100 years ago and you give them your smartphone, they would think that this was a magic little thing from some kind of science fiction book.
Technology 呢，就是科技，所以现代科技的英文是 modern technology. Modern technology makes communication much easier. 那么我们出现的两个单字 engineering， 它是工程学或工程设计的意思，所以工程师的英文就叫 engineer， 很好记吧？所以这个谁呢 ？Liam 他对这个海洋跟科技很有兴趣，所以他参加了一个海洋工程营，他想要了解工程师是怎么创造帮助人们研究海洋的机器。
All right, so what exactly did Liam do? He says, I learned about ships, that makes sense, underwater robots, cool, and ocean waves. So I learned about ships, underwater robots, and ocean waves. All different things having to do with the ocean and technology in different ways. And they, that's the students, the teachers in the summer camp, or the older students, they also showed us how they design boats. So if you're interested in building boats and marine engineering, I guess that would be called, that's something they got a chance to do. And he says, I even got to test a small boat in the water. That's pretty cool. So it might be a small boat that's like a model of some kind of new kind of boat. Maybe it has a special kind of engine in it or something, and he got to take it out for a test drive. This might be the kind of small boat or maybe even bigger boat that will become more common in the future.
所以 get to 就是 get to do something， 就是有机会学了什么。这个 Liam 他学到了关于船只啦、水下机器人跟海浪的知识，而且呢，他还在这个营队学到了说，怎么设计船只，那他甚至还有机会在水中测试一艘小船，听起来真的蛮有趣的。
And then he wraps up by saying, it was interesting to learn how science and technology make studying the ocean possible. Well, I guess that's true. We often hear about science and technology in space travel or space science, right? How robots could be going to Mars and things like that. But we don't often hear about how science and technology can bring us new discoveries under the ocean. So that was a great opportunity for him.
了解科学跟这个科技呢是如何使海洋研究成为可能，这个真的很有趣。那这边大家有没有看到这个 make study in the ocean possible? Make something possible 就是让什么东西成为可能的意思。
So whether it's a history camp, a medical camp, or an ocean technology camp, the article says these camps, or these kinds of camps, give students a taste of college life so that they could keep exploring their passions after the summer ended. That's a pretty great chance or a pretty great opportunity if you can get it. Yeah, it's good to explore your interests. When we explore, it could be physically, like how you go to a new place you've never been, and you walk around, you learn things, you discover things, you see things for the first time. That's to explore. But it can also be just to learn, right? You can go to the library and get books out and explore different topics. A website like Wikipedia or Google or something. You can just look things up and read about it. You can explore those things. You're not actually walking around in them. You're just learning and discovering and seeing things that are new for you. For example, this interesting article explores what it might be like to live and work on another planet. Okay, so it talks about it. It's interested in it, and it has information about it, so we can learn more. And exploring your passions is a great thing to do, because you might have lots of different passions, or you might have a passion for something that you've never tried yet. You still have to discover this passion, because a passion is a very deep and powerful interest in something. If there's something you really like a lot, right, it kind of makes your brain happy, it makes your mind happy and your feelings happy when you do it a lot. You can do it for a long time. Other people might get bored or lose interest, but you're like, no, I'm still more interested in it than I was last year, and I've been doing it for many, many years. You have a passion for that. They often say, if you can take your passion and your work and make them the same thing, you will be a very, very happy person because you will love what you do. Because a passion is that kind of deep and powerful love and interest in something. For example, Omar has a passion for adventure, and last year he spent 2 months traveling through the Amazon jungle. Wow, you got to have a passion for adventure to travel through the Amazon for 2 months especially.
Right. 所以我们在这边看到今天的文法 Let's take a look. 连接词 so that 接在这个主要子句后面是用来引导表目的的从属子句，有为了以便于什么的意思，所以我们常跟助动词 could, can, will, would 等等并用。So that 前方呢，我们通常不使用逗号，而且 that 也可以是我们的文章需求去省略。比如说 I'll set an alarm so that I won't forget my meeting， 或者是说呢 Jake left early so that he wouldn't be late for his appointment。 像第二句这样子啊，这个 that 其实我们也是可以省略的。那还记得今天的 warm up quiz， 我们说 Maria wakes up early 怎么样呢？ She can catch the first bus to work。我们就是答案是 B, so that 所以他要早起，他就可以搭到第一台巴士，就不会迟到啦。 所以答案是 B 哦。那么我们来比较一下 so 如果中间点点点在 that 这样子的意思是什么？意思就不一样了，它意思就会变成如此怎么样，以至于这边的 so 是副词，是修饰形容词或副词，那么 that 是引导表示结果的副词子句。比如说 Emma was so hungry that she ate 3 sandwiches in a row， 所以是因为太饿了，所以她吃了这么多三明治。那我们看到的单字 explore 这个是探索的意思，我们可以探索什么东西的可能性，还记得我们这几天的文章有教到 possibility 这个字嘛，我们可以说 we should explore the possibility of working together， 我们应该要试试看可不可以一起工作，或者是说我们去看一下我们的城市吧， let's go explore the city， 或者是我们刚刚看到的单字 passion， 我们讲到 passion 就是一个人喜欢做的事情，你的兴趣，你的热情，比如说 he decided to follow his passion and become a chef， 那如果你经常问人家说你生命中的热情是什么，你也可以问他说 What's your passion in life？ 所以这些营队呢，让学生们呢提前体验了大学生活，让他们在夏天结束后可以继续探索自己的兴趣，真的是太棒了。
All right, our chat question takes us back to Jake and his experience with that silent mentor or medical cadaver. What about you, Chigalin? I know in your job as a singer, you probably don't get to do this, but how do you feel about learning from a donated body if you were in medical school? If you were studying to be a doctor.
I think I would be very interested in seeing what a dead body looks
like. Yeah. I mean, I think you have to do it, right?
Yeah, because but I don't know. But I think I would, wow, it's interesting. But if it's for medical medical education or like a scientific research, I think it would be like a very valuable kind of way to learn from like a body. Yeah. I really pay a lot of respect to people that are willing to donate their bodies after.
They're real heroes for, literally giving their body for science and education. And I mean, I think you'd have to be okay with it because if you want to be a doctor but you don't want to touch a dead body, then you're probably not going to be a great doctor. Yeah. Right? Because that's kind of part of your job. It's like, I want to be a pilot, but I don't want to go up in an airplane because those things are dangerous. Like, well, that's the job. But it would definitely be weird. And you would, of course, want to do it very respectfully, too, right? Because these people, they gave their lives, or at least they gave their bodies for science. So that's an amazing thing. But I would still be probably nervous that morning before I walked into class. It would certainly be a weird experience. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. We hope you have a great summer. And if you can get to a cool summer camp like that, that would be a wonderful thing.
听完今天的节目，还学得不够尽兴吗？如果还不够尽兴，欢迎到空中家教跟我们的老师练习哦。
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Vocabulary Review.
Medical. Larry felt very sick last night, so his mom quickly took him to get medical help at the hospital. Silent. The teacher asked a question, but Daniel stayed silent because he didn't know the answer. Deepen. The trip to the mountains really deepened Mark's love for nature and fresh air. Technology. Thanks to technology, Emma can talk to her cousin in Canada using a video call system. Explore. Carlos likes to explore new ways of learning English using songs and short videos. Passion. Rebecca has a passion for reading. She finishes many books every month.
智慧小补帖
Mentor. Mentor. Donated. Donated. Engineering.